welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do a really quick video. I think I say really quick because the notes I've made are quite short compared to my usual current toxic rambles of narcissistic recovery stuff. Again, for anyone watching this, I'm not a narcissist recovery channel, but I do find it interesting to make videos on things that I've learned about, and this is my current thing that I'm learning about, so it is healing. I think it is important to talk about. There's a lot of places that are more got more information than mine. This is how I learned it. So I want to talk about how narcissists are shadow and the reason they are, and how they are threatened by you being yourself, why this is. And I'm going to keep it quite simple, to be fair, because it is quite a simple concept, but basically they're very shallow in their nature. Narcissists and psychopaths and stuff, they're very shallow people who don't have a depth of emotion on an emotional level. But this is why they can't relate to people that do have a level of depth. And by depth of emotion, I just mean feeling things like in a healthy way. Like, by shallow, I just mean they have a very unstable ego and a very baseline level of emotion, which kind of is very unstable by nature because it all kind of runs from an insecurity level. They don't have the capacity to feel, obviously, any amount of empathy. Narcissists can feel a small amount of empathy, but it's quite limited compared to a typical person or an empath. But the reason that they are so threatened by your emotion and also you just being yourself is because they're so shallow and weak in their emotional capacity and in their sort of minds, and their ego, shall I say. Not necessarily, they don't have to be weak-minded, they might be strong-minded but still have a weak ego. I mean, I've seen narcissists that are quite happy to delude themselves quite confidently, but it's the idea as well that just to add to this, I don't know where I've written this down, but the idea of they can be extremely antagonistic and shocking and overtly obnoxious, rude, angry, rageful, but that doesn't translate to security. What gives them security is control. They don't like autonomy of other people, which I've spoken about in the past. So having any sort of deviation from their own sense, because they can't connote other people's emotions, they might be able to connote it, they cannot relate to other people's emotions. They can't, like an empath can, or even a typical person can on some level, sense a person's emotion and actually cares to actually understand another person generally, with sort of a moderate level of empathy, to actually be able to relate to another person. Narcissists can't relate or build relationships that are healthy because they can't, nor do they want to relate to other people on an emotional level, and they can't because they're so shallow. They don't have an interest in it because they're selfish people that are sort of looking to dominate. As I said, the relationships that benefit them are the dominating dominating relationships where they can control and project all their crap on, basically abuse of another person. That's the kind of relationship that benefits a narcissist. Friendship and mutual relationship, it's not possible because they don't obviously have the capacity to say, I'll be me, you be you, let's work on that level where we can both reciprocate mutual respect. And I'm gonna just eat another banana. I'm actually really thirsty, to be honest. I was hoping that these bananas were going to quench my thirst. Do you ever have it when you eat an apple and you're really thirsty? I think I just need to get a glass of water, but I don't want to stop this video. Okay, so as I was saying, they are very, they're very shallow. They have the need for control. Any deviation from what they perceive to be correct is considered a threat to them. So obviously your autonomy at at a general is going to be extremely threatening to them, because they spend their lives getting people to comply to their sort of mentality, which is sort of like set point for them, unchangeable, of they are, you know, I don't want to go through every facet of narcissism. They are grandiose, they are entitled, they are the most important person, blah blah blah. An extreme of what is healthy narcissism, which is I have the right to do myself and to have free will, and no one can tell me what to do within reason. That is healthy level of narcissism. Unhealthy level of narcissism is I am above you. It's a compensation of being inadequate within themselves, that they kind of force this level of narcissism. Not they don't force this level, they force this level of grandiosity to compensate for their poor self-esteem. But yeah. So that's basically it. They force this level of subjugation and loyalty on another person, and have like a very forceful way of going about it often. And this is why they will rage at you if you do not comply to them, because if you show, like, this is why, especially when you're raised with narcissistic people, or being around a narcissistic person, you will feel, for any length of time, if you've been conditioned by them, you will feel innately, whether you know them or not, that you cannot express your feelings to them. If you do, you'll be inevitably, it depends how well you know them, if they're trying to love bomb you, if they're trying to be sort of something they're not, which on a base level they may do, especially even in relationships for several years even, depending on the situation. If they're not love bombing you and they're working at their sort of, you know, set point rate, that their normal standard way of behaviour, so love bombing is an initial. So as I was saying, just to finish off, they do invalidate the way that when they invalidate your emotion, it is because they are trying to train you to comply to their emotion. So as I was saying, when you try, you know, on some level that you can't, well, basically with a narcissist, you can't express your honest emotion to them unless they're going to sort of tolerate that, because they're trying to love bomb you and mirror you and try and act like a sort of empathic person. If you express your emotion to them, they will disregard it, berate you for your emotion, see you as weak, use you as a as a narcissistic projection tool, put all their crap on you if you express any sort of emotion to them. Be that valid or not, it doesn't really make a difference to them, because they can't understand that level of emotion for a start. And I thought, sometimes I do like to think in ways of, you know, the universe, things like law of attraction and stuff. And I was considering, is the reason for this because they see a lot of emotion going on within you, and then they sort of are compensating for this by, I don't know, like, because like they don't have a lot of emotion going on at that time because they're shallow, I think, at a baseline. So if someone comes up emotionally, because I know like empaths and stuff, they can be overwhelming to people because they do have such a lot of, not such a lot of emotion. Empaths aren't overly emotional, but it's a case of like it can be a lot for a non-emotional person if someone is empathic. But apparently, just to kind of understand that, whether that's like a narcissistic idea, I don't know, but because generally empaths are sort of like energy givers and narcissists are energy suckers, so really it should be the other way around. But anyway, but I thought narcissists do have a lot of emotion, but it's just often around negativity. Like, a lot of their emotions are anger and irritability at a baseline, like a snake. I always like to liken them to a snake. They're always on edge, anticipating, anxious. They kind of put on you what they do to other people. So if you are venting emotion, they will see that as a way to gain validation. It depends what type of narcissist you are dealing with, but in terms of a spectrum, you can have a low level irritating narcissist that kind of just like works on that level. A medium level where they will sort of induce negative emotion and enjoy it, and might sort of like do things to create it, like actively, and go out their way a bit. And then you get a high level narcissist which sort of overtly or covertly berates and attacks and is that sort of thing. So they're the levels of narcissism that you have. But depending on what level you're dealing with, you will get different reactions to being genuine. I do believe you shouldn't be genuine with people that you don't trust and that aren't going to validate you and are going to invalidate you. So if they're irritating narcissists, they might just brush it off and be like, oh, whatever, go away, or just do something irritating to turn the attention back to them. If they're medium level, as I said, they might get quite happy if you have negative emotion, but if you have positive emotion, they'll kind of say something to ruin it. And if they're high level narcissists, they might just rage at you for having an opinion that doesn't suit theirs, because in their mind they think if you have an autonomous emotion, they can't compute it really because it doesn't align with them. So if they see it, if you have some emotion that's off here, they see that as a threat because it threats their security of control over you. And not only that, when you have and also a lot of all this is going on in your subconscious. When I'm talking, sometimes I realise that it can sound a bit like I think I'm making a lot of sense, but luckily I do understand it, and I think the more cognition I have around it, the more it all kind of fits together in a nice little puzzle piece kind of motion. But I think a lot of it is subconscious. So when you are actually dealing with a narcissist, if you were to obviously explain this to them, they wouldn't kind of validate it just because they never validate anything. However, so, some narcissists do see it in themselves, and they're self-aware narcissists. They're few and far between from my experience. But even those people do have the same patterns. And most people don't even acknowledge their patterns at all. They just kind of work on this domination moment that kind of perpetuates inevitably, and they don't sort of take any accountability. But it can leave the victim in a state of, unknowing of what they've done wrong, aka blaming themselves in psychopathy. The explanation in this is which is related to narcissism. In narcissists, they don't take, because I always think about this grid that I found that talks about the effects of psychopathy in people on victims, especially parents of children. If someone doesn't take responsibility for their actions, it's called, well, I should say lack of responsibility. They're unable to take responsibility for their actions and take accountability for their actions. It leaves you in this state of doubt and guilt. They do inevitably want you to have doubt. I've done a video on how narcissists keep you encaged. And this is a level of doubt that is evoked in you because you think something doesn't make sense here. Like, I'm trying to find out what the problem is. I'm being told it's me. So if you're being manipulated, that can cause doubt as well, and confusion, and sort of disassociation even, because you just don't really understand the situation. Your brain's like, wait, what? And confusion, and that can leave you open for more abuse and sort of invalidation and just lack of clarity, which stops you from making proper action in order to protect yourself and escape a situation that is unhealthy, because toxic people are inevitably unhealthy. They will never be healthy, and people can say a lot of stuff to you, but it doesn't mean that their actions align with their talk. I have noticed that narcissists are so uncomfortable, that is the baseline of their very nature, that they have to project on other people because they are utterly incapable of sitting with themselves. It's that uncomfortable to them how they are, so they have to go for other people and sort of project out on other people for their very being. So that's why it's so important to recognise that there is nothing wrong with you. If you're raised by these people, you may have been conditioned to believe there's something wrong with you, or that there is something innately wrong with you, that you are broken, that you not only are, in this, compelled, or it's correct or normal to live in this inevitable state of doubt, fear, and sort of compliance and blind compliance and dependence on another person. Not only will you feel those things, potentially, but you may also feel a sense of there's something wrong with you, because everything, like, they will not only make up lies about you in order to justify their grandiose sense of self and find dominance over you and break you down as a person, so again you can be more compliant to them. Not only will they do that, but they will project all of their negative insecurities on you, which can be triggered from a very paranoid sense, and often is from, as I said, if someone, and this is why it's such a disorder rather than just a negative aggressive personality type, which would probably just be like, someone having like violent tendencies or violent verbal tendencies. This is why it's a full-blown disorder, because someone literally just being themselves and what is seen as deviating from what a narcissist wants, it doesn't have to be. And this isn't even like massive differences in terms of like controversial topics, which it's still kind of, you have a right to even be controversial in topics that makes, that you have the will of choice to say whatever you want on this planet. You're a narcissist, so you have a right to be controversial or have a moral standpoint that doesn't suit another person or doesn't fit another person, or agree with another person, shall I say. But these aren't even hard issues. This is literally someone wanting to go down one road, another person saying, why don't we walk on the path rather than walk on the right path, or literally just not affirming a narcissist the way that they feel that they should be affirmed. Like, it's not uncommon, and it's very common, to be honest, of narcissists and toxic people that will take advantage of someone any way they can. So if someone is being extremely overly, even to the point of mental or physical exhaustion to suit a narcissist and comply to their ways, to the point of literal illness, this narcissist is never satisfied. By nature, they are never satisfied, so will consistently ask for more, basically. So you might get some people that are mildly entrapped or ensnared by narcissists in a narcissistic relationship where they just want to go out with their friends. I mean, this is actually the moderate, to be fair. Say they want to go out with their friends. It's quite extreme, to be honest, if you look at it in society. But say you just want to read a book one time and you don't validate a narcissist and tell them they're amazing in that moment, when a narcissist expects to be validated and made the grandiose person of each second of life. That can easily trigger a narcissist into a rageful cycle, or just saying something or being nasty to you, and this can then make you build this level of, which is what they want compliance, and they want control, and also just dominance and sort of superiority over you. So this can create in our minds, even on a subconscious level, the connection between reading, for example, if that's what's set them off, and being attacked. So you might enjoy reading and you might stop reading because, or even on a small level, because you feel that triggers someone. You feel like you've paired it with something negative. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. You are, it's in terms of what a narcissist has said, sometimes things are wrong with people, which we all have things that we're working on and need to change, but narcissists will literally evoke silly things to make you feel that are wrong with you, to evoke shame and sort of dominance and break you down as a person, and there really isn't any need for it. It comes within a disordered self of theirs that is inevitably inadequate. They feel in themselves, and also are making up lies, or sort of take, what also narcissists do is they take snippets of the truth and create this false narrative to suit their need for dominance. So they might take like one strand of the truth, aka if you've got, like, I said this in another video, if you're having a bad hair day, right, they might just be like, you're always they might take that one strand. If you've said to them or expressed to them you feel that you've got a bad hair day, they'll also use your vulnerabilities against you. Pretty typical of a narcissist. And they will take that one strand of you know you're bad. They won't even start off by that, because that will be even not justifying themselves enough. They'll say, you always look rubbish, like you always look awful, you always look terrible, blah blah blah. You know, it can really, especially over time, ruin your self-esteem and leave you with this set of beliefs that are incorrect, and just ruin your self-esteem and your habits, to the point where you are, you know, less have a worse quality of life potentially, or just are less resilient or confident in yourself, especially over time, in order, you know, that you know, when people do this to you over long periods. So yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.